I would like to start my speech by asking a simple question. Have you ever fallen in love with something, an object, a person, despite being aware of how bad it is for you? Some will say they have an addiction to coffee or sugary beverages. Other severe cases involve substances like alcohol or drugs. And I know there's an obvious one, relationships. And for my girls out there, I know how it feels. For me, I have a list that could definitely surpass the word count of this speech. But today, I'm not here to talk about my infatuations with toxic guys or my obsession with raccoons, even though they could both equally tear me apart if I got too close. Instead, I want to talk about my love of despair. Despair is defined by the complete loss or absence of hope. To fall into despair is to become hopeless. The word has floated around me since the beginning of my middle school years, haunting me like a spirit. It has been a close associate of mine, seeing me at my best and comforting me at my worst. Eventually, despair became a constant theme in my life, altering my mindset and perspective on the world, recurring in my vocabulary and schoolwork, and even becoming a part of one of my passwords. Please do not steal my account. I've known despair more than I've known any of my closest friends, and I've embraced despair more than I've ever embraced my family. Although accepting despair sounds wrong, there were many enticing perks promised by welcoming it. No one would willingly submit to something so toxic if there was nothing keeping them there after all. Instead, despair comforted me. It was there for me when I had no one else. I accepted despair to guard myself from disappointment. I firmly believed if there was no hope to begin with, there was no room for anything to disappoint you. If I had no hope, I had no expectations. By purposely leaving myself at a permanent low from hopelessness, I guarded myself from an even worse state from disappointment. Relinquishing hope felt like the only way I could control my feelings. I cannot control the outcome of the events that I had hoped for, so I decided to eliminate life's ability to hurt me through disappointment. I lost hope in hope. However, I'm aware that it's easier to talk about the negative experiences of a bad relationship rather than the positive ones. I would like to acknowledge that for a period of my life, despair has helped me. If I would get an excellent grade on a test or acknowledgement for something I did, I would be pleasantly surprised. Instead of the outcome being disappointment, it was fulfillment that I never asked for. It has also helped me in moments of desperation, as losing hope gave me a sense of carefree will, and I was able to do things without fear because all the outcomes seemed meaningless to me. There's a saying, don't get your hopes up. And yeah, I took that saying and I ran marathons with it. But renouncing hope had obvious side effects on my perspective on the world. When I lost hope, I became aimless and reckless. What was the point of continuing my education, my relationships, my interests, if none of it meant anything in the end? I didn't know what I wanted anymore. Instead of thinking long-term, I had to focus on getting myself through the day. I was doing what I was told instead of doing what I wanted, because in reality, I didn't know what I wanted. I ended up losing my sense of self, and I became a puppet, conforming to what I believed others wanted me to be. I lost my self-worth, and I lost all confidence in myself. This plunged me into a deeper pain than disappointment could ever give me. I had to stop myself from giving up every day because of the constant sadness I was stuck in. I never understood that despair was what stopped me from growing as a person because I saw it as a comforting figure in my desperation. I could not see myself in the future because I was ready to give it all up. Despair is a disease that consumes everything in its path. Succumbing to despair is a dangerous thing, and I was only fortunate enough to have friends and family who cared about me to make sure I didn't go down the wrong path. In truth, there are more people stuck in despair who have no one to make sure that they are safe. A study by the AMJ Public Health reads behavioral despair consists of risky, unhealthy, and reckless acts that are self-destructive and reflect limited consideration of the future. People in despair do not see the light and cannot understand that some of the actions they are taking will have irreversible consequences. These impulsive acts include gambling, substance abuse, and suicide. Despair blinds your horizons, and when you're imprisoned by it, it is difficult to see your future. Regaining hope took time after being in love with despair for so long. They came in small increments, small things every day, but gave me a little hope for life. I would see beautiful sights and experience mind-changing feelings that slowly separated me from despair. I became less fearful of disappointment because I became more focused on hope. I realized that my fear of disappointment was only because of my pessimistic ideals, and to move on in life, you need to focus on hope. I started to have faith in my future, in my friends, in relationships. I started to trust people more and allow people to help me. Every now and then I would experience disappointment, but instead of relapsing into despair, I tried to move forward. I started to have hope in hope again, and it has made my world so much brighter. My journey with despair was very challenging, but I was able to find hope through perseverance and help from the people who cared about me. Through hope, I've converted my love of despair into something much more healthy. So I guess you can say I fell in love with hope, but I still wouldn't mind a boyfriend. However, for some people, their stories have not yet reached hope. It can be hard to see, but it is all around us, whether it's someone suffering from social isolation or someone having a lack of motivation for the future. Hope is hard to find for these individuals, but everything could change if someone reached out to them. A simple hello could stop someone from going down the wrong path. So I challenge you all to be a spark of hope for someone, whether it's someone you know or someone you don't know at all. Together as a society, we can all support each other and start a positive feedback loop of positivity. Now, I would like to end my speech by asking a simple question. What will you do to inspire hope in others today?
All right. That's good.
Yeah.